Hi there, it's Clint and Shell. I was asking him what he was doing. He said he was waving, so we're both waving in here. Today I am trying kind of a new eco dyed experiment. I saw this on one of the junk journal sites, and what they did is they took some papers, they layered it on to their some flowers. They layered it onto papers. And I'm just using the rose papers that we did, like a couple of weeks back. And I thought, I could just go ahead and layer up about 4 pages and run it through my Big Shot or my Gemini. And I will link that below. And these are just some flowers that I found in my yard. Our yard is like a jungle right now. We usually let the goats get out there and kind of eat and stuff, and we haven't done that lately. But these are some lilacs and just some little purple flowers that I found. But everything that's in these bowls or on this plate were out in our yard. So I'm just layering it up, and again, I'm using that rose dyed paper because I felt like it needed a colorful background instead of just white paper. So I put one layer of paper down and put some flowers on it like the lilacs and stuff. And then I layered another paper, and I did that 4 times so that I had like a sandwich of a plain paper on the bottom and a sandwich of plain paper on the top. And I thought, that way it will protect my machine and not get, flower petals and stuff all over, or the dye or whatever. So here I am using some dandelions that we had, and I think they were like moss roses or moss flowers or something, some kind of weed that is out in our front yard. And I'm going to run that through. And when I ran it through, we realized that it wasn't thick enough, so I did get a shim. There was a little bit of the juices from the flowers, the dyes, that came out, but I didn't feel like it was thick enough. So I did get a shim, and I'm doing the shim and putting it back through the Gemini. And what the Gemini is just an electric die cut machine. You can use it for embossing or die cutting, whatever, but it's just really nice, especially when you have, hand issues or arm issues. And that's Biddy right there, and he is checking things out. He's smelling the flowers and stuff. So yeah, it did squish the flowers and, made a really, you think, well, it might work. I don't know. Like I said, it was just something we wanted to try. So it was kind of making a mess. So what I did is I ended up taking the stack out to the front porch, and I was just going to let them dry outside because this was about 3 o'clock. It was warm, 70 some outside. So I'm just going to take that stack out and kind of put the mess and stuff outside. So it looks like while I was gone, we had one. I think this is Biddy again, it looks like. And he's just checking out the plates and the die cutting machine, and you can't really tell, but when they're side by side, Biddy and Covey, Biddy has like a wider chest area and tiny legs, like hind legs. So I just thought that would be cute for you guys. Excuse me. Okay, so now we are doing our second batch. And again, I am trying the 4-paper sandwich. And what I did, I didn't want to use any of my really good rose dyed papers. So just ones that were kind of iffy a little bit, didn't have a lot of color or anything. I thought, well, I'm just going to put more flowers on there. And, just to see what happens. So this one I'm really stacking full of the flowers, just some purple ones that I found in the yard, some lilacs. We have 2 or 3 lilac bushes, and I found all kinds of flowers. I just went out and walked and just kind of found, we live on 3 acres. So, but anyways, I'm just stacking those up again, doing the same thing, and just, you know, kind of pulling different flowers. I had some that were like a dark purple, and I don't know what they were, but I put them on there. There they are right there. And, you know, just to see the difference between like the lilacs and things like that. And then these flowers, I decided to save those. Clint suggested making just a whole paper with those. So I'm going to do that. And these are just some little bits and pieces. So that's mainly what I'm going to do through the whole thing. But yeah, so I'm just going to do the 4 again with the shim just to make sure that they're thick enough. And what I'm going to do is, I think I decided to, oh, okay, the cord came out, but Clint fixed it. So I think I decided just to take this outside and let it start drying on its own, because look how wet it is. So I'm pulling it up, and, you know, it was really making a mess. So I just went ahead and took it outside. Here I am trying to separate it when it's wet and creating holes. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take it outside, let it sit in the sunshine, and we'll see what happens. Okay, and then while I was outside, I kind of separated them, and they were nothing but holes. So I ended up throwing 2 sheets of paper away because I figured that they were too wet, and, you know, so the next ones I just kind of take outside before separating them. And Clint really wanted to do this kind of like a bouquet of flowers. And so he arranged them on this paper. And I decided, well, he told me, you know, just do 2 sheets of paper, one on the bottom, one on the top. So I'm going to do that. And he arranged them, but I was thinking if it worked, then, you know, if you folded it, you're not going to have a really good image. So I just rearranged them so that we'd have image on both pages. Sorry. And so, and there was some like juice and flower juice and stuff, so he wiped that up. So it does get messy on this process because, you know, there is moisture and there's wetness and stuff like that. So this time I'm just going to take it right outside and put it on the porch and just let it dry before I separate the pages. Okay, and so we're going to do 2 more pages. And this time I'm using some roses. You know, Clint gets me roses pretty much weekly, monthly at least. But we always have fresh flowers, you know, roses, flowers, or whatever. And he was cleaning them and just took off any of the older leaves. And he saved them for me. And so I thought, well, we'll try the rose petals. You know, there's not a lot of color to them. But we'll try them, and we both really thought that this would work. So I'm going to put that through. But I guess they're not as bulky as the other flowers were. So I had to end up getting another shim. So what I did is I had my magnetic shim. But see, it didn't really press them. So I put my magnetic piece on here too and used that. And that was enough to give it some, you know, give it plenty of room, but I was doing it wrong, so I had to do it over because it still wasn't enough, and the magnetic piece needs to be in between because I was just looking and thinking it hadn't pressed it hard enough. Okay, so now we're going to do that. And again, I am just going to take it outside and let it dry. So, and then I will come back with my take on whether or not this was nailed it or failed it. Okay guys, so this is what we ended up with. At the beginning of the video, I showed that I was using some of the rose water dyed paper, because I thought, well, if you're doing eco dyeing and, you know, with just flowers, then you kind of want that distressed looking background. So let me show you guys how it turned out. You'll have to let me know what you guys think, but I'm not that thrilled with it. I saw someone on Junk Journal Chat who did this. I think it was Junk Journal Chat, and they called it eco dyeing with a die cutting machine. So what you do is you place the flowers through there and you squish it down. And several things, you know, in the video you saw where I had to throw some away because it just ripped the whole pieces of paper. It leaves a lot of, what am I thinking? A lot of debris from the flowers. So, you know, I don't know that there's anything here I could use. I mean, look at this. It's a dried flower that I can't really get off. There's no design at all. Some of them aren't horrible. Like here are some where I did the violets and, or the, what are they called? Lilacs. And, you know, I got some purple, as you can see. That's different. You know, but look at this side. It's just so gross. And I was doing 4 to a page. And I figured that that was giving me too much moisture, and with the dandelions it was too thick, so it was giving me holes. So I love this though. I think that's pretty. Well, piece I just messed up. So, you know, I'll probably keep some of these if it's something I feel like you can write on. Like this one, there's not a lot of debris on it. Like the flower pieces, you know, I'll use that, but for the most part, I don't know. I mean, look at that, isn't that pretty? So I'm going to go back to my eco dyeing, and, you know, hopefully this weekend, you know, where you actually put the papers, you put the flowers, and you roll them up tight and boil them, or whatever you want to do, bake them. So I'm going to go like that. I think this was a fail.